detentions like this, is there any way for the public to find out about the whereabouts of the detainees and how long they've been in secret prisons and detained by ICE and Homeland Security?
Well, I should let Simon speak about that more directly. I can say that it is very difficult to locate people in the system when they're being detained.
Is your name on here?
I don't think so, but I can
Can you give it to me?
I'm a student as well, a law student. So I'm going to do that. My name is Stacey Jones.
S-G-Jonas.
Jonas. Jonas.
Okay. I have a question in relation with what she was talking before about.
Can I just ask one? Sorry. Are there any more questions for Mr. Chavez, or before we continue?
Like I said, I have a question about the jail in Texas and the person that was denied bond. Do you think it would make a difference if that person was in jail in Boston?
Very much so. Actually, what happened was 4 of our clients had their bond hearing on a Tuesday. And the judge was persuaded that, in part because of the community pressure and the level of community activism and organizing around this case here in Danbury, the judge was persuaded that they would in fact stick around and fight their case and not disappear in the middle of Queens or something and never be heard from again. So the judge released 4 of our clients on the statutory minimum bond, which is $1,500. Now, the Department of Homeland Security didn't much appreciate that, and so Mr. Chavez's bond hearing was scheduled for the next morning in front of perhaps the same judge in Boston, and that night they began the process of transferring him and others of our clients to Texas. Well, we know that the Department of Homeland Security was aware of the city of Danbury's campaign to harass, intimidate, and even drive out immigrants. We know they're aware of it because they received letters from the mayor, from former Representative Nancy Johnson, asking for increased enforcement. So to the extent that ICE, that the Department of Homeland Security, allowed themselves to be willing participants in this campaign is what we're trying to figure out here. We sent a standard request under the Freedom of Information Act to the Department of Homeland Security about a month and a half ago. They had 30 days to reply. They didn't reply. Really, we're left with no other option but to sue, because the community organizations have a right and really need to know what it is the federal government is doing here in Danbury.
Can you give us any information on the 11 people who were detained? How many people are released? How many people are still in jail right now?
Certainly. The 11 were split up in a number of different detention centers, and so went before a number of different judges, so they had very different results. 2 of them were actually denied bond, which means that they still had the right to continue fighting out their case, but from within a Texas jail cell. So, perhaps understandably, they decided not to, and they decided to allow the government to remove them. I don't actually know if that removal has been carried out yet or not. I rather suspect by now it has. The other 9 were released on bond. Some of them were released on really high bonds, as much as $15,000. But thanks to the level of community support, they were able to pull together that kind of money through really admirable grassroots fundraising. And the fact that the judges awarded them bond means that the judges decided this person is not going to, disappear or move to Queens and never be heard from again. This person's going to stick around and fight their case. And the reason they decided that is in part because of the level of community activism around this issue.
Immigrants' rights groups, churches, and a number of individuals were really shocked and horrified by the way that the arrests in Kennedy Park were carried out. And as a response, immediately after the arrests, the organizations came together, they organized a march, and they began also organizing a defense fund to try to support the men who had been detained. We believe that the community support played a significant role in the men's ability to be released on bond. We were able to explain to the court that there was a community of support in the area that was both willing to help raise money for the bond and that was willing to support the and then after they were released. One of the factors in determining bond is whether an individual is a flight risk, and we believe that the community support in this case helped the judge believe that these men in fact had a home to go back to, and that they would therefore be more likely to stay, appear at their court appearances, and fight this all the way through to the end. We think that community involvement played an important role on the bond issue, and we also think that community involvement is the only way that this issue is ultimately going to be dealt with in the future, because this isn't simply a matter of a few men who were detained one day. This is an ongoing question of relations with immigrants in the area, and the community support is going to be critical to making decisions and in helping move things in the right direction going forward.